Hey guys! So I wasn't originally going to tell this story on my channel, but I was thinking the other day about it and I was like, some weird stuff really did happen. So I asked you guys on Snapchat if you wanted to hear it or not, and every single person basically said yes, so I'm making this video. This is about like all the stuff that happened behind the camera in my Olive Thomas video. You can tell at the end of the video I was kind of in a rush and I was like out of breath and wanting to get the outro done like as soon as possible, and you're gonna realize why. Now the first time I went to the cemetery, I didn't do a video or anything, I just wanted to visit her grave. Before I went, I asked my grandfather if any of our family was buried there, and he said yes. But when I got to the cemetery, I didn't realize how big it was. It's huge, and I mean humongous. And there's just so many graves. And some of the monuments there are outrageous. I mean, like the architecture of them, they're just beautifully done. Some of them are bigger than like a 3-story home. I mean, extravagant. And so when I got there, I didn't realize how big it was, and I got there and I was like, you know, I'm gonna visit Olive's grave and I'll come back another day to visit my family, because I just like don't have the time to try and look for them and figure out where they're buried and go walk there, and like, you know, I'll just do that a different day. So me and my mom went and we visited Olive's grave, and we got done and we were leaving the wintergreen section where she's buried. And as we're leaving the section, my mom's like, oh look, like there's some Valentes, and I'm like, oh that's cool. So I took a picture and everything of the grave. I didn't know if I was related to them or not, and I get home and I asked my grandfather, and he's like, what were their names? And I said, you know, one of them I know was named Giuseppe, and he's like, oh, that was my grandfather. And I'm like, oh, like that's crazy, like that's awesome. I mean, you know, and I asked him like, is that my only family buried in the cemetery? And he said yes. And I just think that is like the biggest coincidence. I'm not saying that's paranormal, that is just a huge coincidence. But anyways, we went there the first day and nothing happened, like nothing paranormal, nothing weird other than that. And we decided to go back another day so I could do the video for you guys. When me and my mom got there, we just automatically felt different. It just felt different than it did before. I can't even explain it. It just was very eerie feeling. The last time I went, I didn't feel anything. It was very normal. I like cemeteries. I think they're very peaceful. But this, it just felt completely like a 180 from last time. We go through the gates and we get about 5 minutes in. Olive Thomas's grave is probably about, I don't know, like 10 minutes walking distance from the gate. We get about 5 minutes in and we're walking, and we're in the section where there's just smaller tombstones, no big monuments yet. And we're walking and we hear a distinct man's laugh. And me and my mom both turn around, just looking to see whose laugh it was. We thought it was one of the workers or something. We turn around and we just like, there's no one there. No one. Like, no one around us. We can't see a single person. And this laugh was so loud that it echoed. And me and my mom automatically were like, did you hear that? And she's like, yes. And we're just like, okay. It was just, we just kept going. I want you to keep in mind that like, I know I have a channel where I talk about weird stuff, but I don't like expect weird things to happen to me. Like, the stories that I share, personal stories, that's over a period of like my whole life. I can go a few years without having anything weird happen to me. So I don't like expect anything super strange to happen. We kept walking, we got to Olive's grave, and my mom's like, you know, I'm gonna go off and, you know, take some pictures and stuff, because that's what people do. Like, photographers go to the cemetery to take pictures because some of the monuments are so beautiful. You can really just spend all day there just looking at them. So my mom was like, I'm gonna go off, you know, just by myself, let you do your video. And I'm like, okay. So I start my video, and before I start my video, I'm leaning down next to her grave, and I have my camera in my hand. And as I'm looking at my camera, I see something standing in front of me. And my first thought, it was like 2 seconds long, where I saw it, my brain was like, look up, somebody's standing in front of you. And I blinked, looked up, and it was gone. Like, I was just looking at my camera and saw, like, I thought it was my mom standing in front of me, like that she came back or something. It was about 2 feet in front of me, and I look up and just gone, nothing there. Like, I know that I saw something. Like, in my head, I wasn't looking for anything weird to happen. I just wanted to do my video. And it freaked me out because I knew I saw something. But I love you guys so much that I was like, nope, I gotta do this video no matter how freaked out I am. So I set up everything, and in the video, I don't know if you can see it in the video because I cut it down so much, but I watched the whole like half hour of me doing it, and I can see my reflection in the phone screen. And you can see me like looking back every 5 seconds, because while I was sitting down, the entire time I'm like looking at my camera, I can just hear something behind me. And there was like a tree and then some graves, and there was a ton of leaves on the ground, and I can hear distinct like footsteps and walking in the grass and the leaves crinkling. Like, I heard it constantly while I was doing this video. And the weirdest thing about it is, you know, like the classic like horror film thing where you'd hear a noise, you'd look, and it'd stop. That's like classic. That happens to like everybody. And while I was looking down and I was hearing these footsteps and these crinkling of the leaves, I looked at it, and multiple times I would still hear it while I'm looking at it, and everything's completely still and nothing's moving. I was still hearing it, and I'm just squinting and like looking around, trying to figure out like where it's coming from, if it's like a bird, if it's, and nothing's moving. I'm the only one there. So you know in cartoons where they're like running so fast that there's just like dust under their feet? Like, that was literally me. As soon as I pressed end on my camera, like, I hauled ass. Like, I was out of there. I was like slinging stuff around. Like, I just flung my jacket over my shoulder. Like, I almost broke my camera. There's like a banana peel falling out of my purse. Like, I wanted to get out of there so bad. I just run out of the section. I'm like, where's my mom? Where's my mom? Where's my mom? And I finally get to my mom, and I'm like, I'm freaked out. Let's get out of here. And she's like, yeah, me too. And I'm like, oh God, what happened with you? And she starts telling me, and she's like, you know, I didn't want to interfere with your video and what you're doing, but she's like, just some weird stuff was going on, and I was freaked out the entire time I was walking alone by myself. She's like, for one, basically the entire time she was out, she's like, I kept, you know, hearing things. She's like, from different directions, it just sounded like people were like conversating. And she's like, it just sounded like there was just different groups of people around me, like laughing and talking. And she's like, I'm looking around and I can't even find one person. Like, I'm completely alone. Like, there's no one around me. And she's like, it just sounded like there was just like little echoes, little tidbits of like conversation going on. And she's like, and then, you know, I start walking, and she's like, I come across this monument I really wanted to take a picture of. And she's like, I start taking a picture of it, and she's like, I hear somebody say, "Hey." And she's like, you know, my automatic thought was that it was one of the workers that was working and they didn't want me to take a picture of it. She's like, so I turn around and she's like, there's no one there. No one. And she's like, you know, that was like right before you ended the video. And she's like, thank God you got done with the video, because I was thoroughly freaking out. She's like, you know, let's get out of here. So we got home as fast as possible. Like, I can't even describe the feeling, like the overall feeling of being there that day. It was just, I've never been in a situation like that in my entire life where it was just such a strong sense that like you're not alone. The best way I can explain it is like, if you know when you're in a park and you're just surrounded by like different groups of people, that's what it felt like. Like it felt like you were just surrounded by people, but there's no one around you. But yeah, that was my weird cemetery story. I hope you guys liked it. Just some really strange things happened that day. I wasn't going to really share it on my channel because I was like, you know, everyone's gonna be like, oh, you run a channel where you talk about a lot of weird stuff and then you went to a cemetery and just coincidentally had all this weird stuff happen to you. But really, I was not expecting it at all. But yeah, so if you're not already and you like that video, make sure to subscribe and like and any of that good stuff, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.